Hi there. In this video, I'm going to show you a really effective technique that can support you to find a deep and delicious breath. So I'm talking about a breath that you really enjoy. And if you're watching this video, I imagine that maybe you're not breathing the way you'd like in this moment. One reason could be because you have some nasal congestion. And what we're going to do in this video does involve working directly with the nose. And it's something that you can do pretty much in any situation, although I will warn you that if someone watches you, they might think that you're picking your nose. But that's just the way it is. All right, so first of all, I'm going to share a short technique from Patrick McEwen, who is the creator of the Oxygen Advantage. And you can find that elsewhere on YouTube. But if you are feeling very congested right now, something that you could do is after breathing out, you clamp shut your nose, and then you just hold your breath after breathing out, and you kind of move your head around a little bit until you need to take another breath in, which you're going to breathe in through the nose when that time comes, and then you're going to hold it again. So it looks something like this. And then you hold the breath for some time, and you can repeat that 2 or 3 times. And if you have nasal congestion, that actually can be strikingly effective for clearing it up. Another thing I'll just suggest to you, if you have a neti pot, that's sometimes what I'm do when I'm, got a lot of kind of sinus issues going on. What we're about to do can also help you clear up your nose. And it's something that you can use if you're breathing just fine through your nose, but you'll find that you have much nicer breath by the end. So I'm going to lead you through this, and I think you're going to want to be sitting upright so that you can see what I'm doing on the screen. Although another nice way to do this, and you can try it in this manner as well, is to lie on your back on the floor, and that'll just allow you to have more of a full body relaxation as you follow along. But the first time, maybe you want to watch what I'm doing. So let's just begin by sort of noticing how you're breathing now and how you are sitting. So a sense of your whole body, feel your connection to the ground, your connection to your surroundings, right? Take it all in. Notice that the breath is an exchange with the environment. And even get a sense of maybe your emotional state or just your state of mind right now. Because the way you breathe always reflects your overall state. And if you can shift your breathing, it's not just going to be a physiological change, it can really change your mood and many other things. Okay, so as you continue to pay attention to your breathing now, bring your attention to your nose. And for a few breaths, just really concentrate on the movement of the air in and out of the right nostril. So the air will continue to come in both sides, but just imagine, sort of track in your mind's eye the breath going into the right side of the nose, and you can look for a sensation at the back of your mouth on the right side of where the air comes in and goes down. You can imagine the right side of your throat and fills your right lung. And of course comes up and out in the same trajectory as you breathe out. And now switch over to paying attention to the left nostril, left side of the back of the mouth, left lung. And as you're doing this now, and you've already done so on the right side, you might just get a sense that maybe it seems like the air is moving more easily through one side of the nose. Okay, now what we're going to do is going to involve focusing on one side. And I'm going to teach this to you on just the one side. And so we're going to kind of build up a difference in feeling between the two sides, which has its own particular use, as you will see. But just know that you can go back and repeat the same procedure on the second side later. But I'm going to recommend that you choose the side of your nose where the breath is simpler right now. Before we begin, I'm just going to show you 3 points along the side of your nose that we're going to be interested in and that we're going to work with. So if you look at my nose from the tip of the nose out to where the nostril connects to the cheek, this sort of edge of the nose is where we're going to be working. And basically, there are 3 points that we're going to work with, that being right at the tip, halfway along the line of the nostril, you could say, to the cheek, and right at the cheek. Okay, so as I mentioned, you're going to just work on the side of your nose where you feel that the breath is already the most comfortable. And so again, begin to breathe in through that side of your nose, and you're imagining the air going to the back of the mouth on that side and down into that lung, right? So really, as you experience the air on the inside of your body, your focus is on that same side. And now, every time you breathe in, we're going to begin with that middle point, right? Halfway between the cheek and the tip of the nose. And between your thumb and your forefinger, you're just going to grasp the edge of your nose, and you're going to pull it slowly as you breathe in. So it's going to look something like this. You're going to let go as you exhale. So you can see right away why someone might think you're picking your nose if you do this. Let's not worry about that, but of course you can do this in the privacy of your own home. But you're going to do this movement many times as you breathe in. And it's very important that the timing matches the breath, so that you don't want to pull and then breathe, but you want to breathe in, and the whole time you're breathing in, you're pulling the nostril away from the midline, and then you stop the movement at the end of the inhale, and then you let it go back on the exhale. Now your nose doesn't stretch very far, so this is a very small movement, and yet you want to try to make it last the duration of the breath in and let it go back each time you exhale. So as I'm talking, just keep working with this. If for a moment you want to take your hand away and pause and then come back to it, that's fine. Once you learn this process, you can maybe move through it a little faster, but I will also say that the quality of how you do this and the quality of your attention is very important to making a difference. So if you are pulling on the side of your nose as you breathe in this way, obviously you're changing the shape of the nostril as the air comes in. So begin to get curious about, what does the airflow feel like? Maybe take the hand away and just breathe a few times through that side of the nose, and then come back to making the movement, grasping, again, the midpoint between the cheek and the nose there, and extending it out. But kind of notice, even internally, even into the lung, what's the shape inside? Now, of course, you can't see your lung, you can only feel something, but do you kind of get an image of the lung of a particular kind? Just see what's there. It doesn't have to be too specific at this point, but just kind of get a sense, when I make more space through this nostril by pulling out along the center of that line from the nose to the cheek, what does it feel like? How does it go down my throat? How do I feel the lung? Okay, so now rest your hand, but just imagine that it's still happening. Imagine that that place is being elongated away from the midline every time you breathe in. And you may feel an echo of the sensation that you had when you were actually manipulating the edge of your nose with your fingers. And then if you like, you can come back and make the movement just a couple more times, just to sort of sense what it is. Okay? And then just stop altogether, but notice from these few movements that you've done, If something already feels much more different about this side of the nose, the movement of the air down into that side of your body. Okay, so now you're going to do a similar thing at these other 2 points, but first we're going to come to the point in front. And what you're going to feel is you can think of pulling it a little more forward, but it's going to be forward and a little out to the side, right? So if I make the movement, and again, it doesn't look that pretty, but that's just the nature of what it is. Breathing in, and then as you exhale, letting it come back. So again, you can think of it as sort of pointing where the tip of your nose, not exactly where the tip of your nose is, but a little coming out on that side. But you just find where can you hold that's closest to the tip, and if you slowly pull, I think you'll feel what's the direction that the cartilage, the skin there, is able to stretch just a little bit. And once again, it's not a large movement, but you're timing it with the inhalation. And feel again, how does the airflow feel going down? And what's the shape inside, or your sense of the shape in the lung as you've changed the shape of your nose again, but differently than before? Does it feel slightly different? So again, taking your time on the inhale and then letting that sort of stretched out shape come back as you exhale. After some time, you can lower your hand and rest, but again, continue to imagine that movement happening, a little forward and out to the side. And then in your imagination, think of once that front point and then the side place that you began with. Go back and forth between the two. And even though you're not touching and manipulating, notice that there's 2 different images. And notice if the airflow feels different when you think of one of those movements and then the other. And you can, in fact, use your hands now and once move from that middle place along the line towards your cheek, and then with the next one, move from the place that's closer to the tip of your nose. Just go back and forth a few times, but compare the feeling between the 2 and compare the feeling of how the air moves down into your lungs. You might have a sense, if you think of your lung inside your chest as having a front and a back and a side that's out towards your arm, and then a section in the middle closer to the spine. Which of those regions of the lung seems to have the sensation of being most clearly filled as you try each one of these shapes? Okay, so let it all go again and just feel what's the result. You've been working this way for a while on the same side of the nose. You've changed the shape in 2 different ways. How are you breathing on that side? How do you feel in that side of your face, in that side of your neck? Just notice if there are other differences. And then we're going to come to the last place, which is you're going to hold the nostril basically as close as you can to the cheek, and just think of moving it in the direction of your ear, right? So that's it's sort of pulling it directly back along the cheek. And so it's still the same idea, the movement, very small, but very gradual, so that you don't pull and then breathe in, but you're breathing in the whole time that you're stretching that back part of the nostril towards your ear. And then you're letting it come back on the exhale. Same idea. How do you experience the airflow? What does it feel like inside? After doing this number of times, again, rest your hand, but keep imagining that movement. Keep imagining that movement with each in-breath. And then in your imagination, you can go between the different points with each new breath and just sense, are these in fact almost like 3 different styles of breathing? hey, we're almost done here, and you can do this on your own now that you've learned this process in much less time than we've taken here. But again, I'll repeat, not whipping through it too fast, because you really want to have a communication and you don't want to yank on the flesh of your nose in an uncomfortable way. And that these movements that you're doing with the assistance of your fingers, it's really more about dialoguing with your experience and really listening and taking care of yourself. So be gentle. The last thing you might do, and this would just be in the imagination, is to sort of imagine that your nose is like the sail on a sailboat. And you can just imagine as you breathe in that there's sort of a movement from one end of the sail to the other. It doesn't matter if you start in the front or the back, but it's as if, you know, there were even many points all along that line that were being elongated out and back towards the ear. Basically just the flaring open of the nostril, and you can imagine it happening in a sort of a wave-like movement. Or you can simply imagine all three of those directions simultaneously moving outwards with the breath. Okay. So if in this moment you have followed along and you've just done that one side, you can probably feel there's a real difference between the two sides. And before you rush to go to the second side, I just encourage you again to really sit with the difference between the two sides. And notice if you sort of situate your being, let's say, on the one side of your body and feel your breath moving through you on that side, maybe the side where you worked. What is that like? What's your experience of yourself? How is that breath? And then if you shift over to the other side, it's still you, right? But maybe it feels lacking somehow. And so actually noticing the lack, right? Noticing, oh, I don't like that as much. I can't get as clear a breath through that side. But you're making a further distinction here, which is valuable beyond just rushing to get the result on the second side. Now, of course, you're welcome to begin to work with the other side of your nose and just hold those three different points, right? One at a time. Don't forget that you want to really time the movement with the inhalation and the letting go of the movement and the nose relaxing to its original shape with the exhale. You want to be really present to the feeling of the airflow and the sense inside your lung on whichever side. Am I breathing into the front of the lung? Is that what it feels like? Does it feel like I'm breathing more towards the back? And so you can sort of fill out a picture of what you're doing little by little. It's pretty interesting to think that changing the shape of your nose might be changing somehow the shape of the breath inside your chest. And also don't forget that you're not just doing the movements with the help of your hand, but you're also resting your hands periodically and just imagining those different points along the edge of the nose and those different shapes that the nose can take. And so maybe you need another couple minutes to work on the other side, but I'm going to wrap up the video here. I hope you found this helpful. I hope you find that you are breathing better after doing this. And I encourage you to keep playing with this technique. Again, I want to emphasize that even though you could take less time than I took with you here, that the quality of how you do it and the way you are relating to your body and to yourself as a whole is crucial to finding a real relaxation, a letting go that can help you feel easier in yourself by doing this. If you turn it into just a way of yanking on your nose, it has really limited value, and it could even, frankly, be annoying. So please do practice with care. And if you would like my personal guidance to help working with your breath or any other aspect of your embodiment and relation to self and others, you can contact me. There'll be a link below this video. and I'll see you again sometime soon. Take care.